Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to 1% Tribe. Hopefully your day was going great. Happy Father's Day for everybody out there. In the Myers family, it's a little different. Like for my kids, a lot of times I got away from any kind of gifts. I didn't want gifts. I wanted, either something, like time together, just kind of some fun stuff. So today, with the help of a lady I hope to get on here because her knowledge of plants is really good, Allison, she got me some viburnum. There's these beautiful Michigan flowering plants that I'm setting up this really cool place in our yard where we're going to be able to it's all the nuts, anything that Michigan has that will produce some kind of berry or nut or those kind of things. So it's kind of been a long history of this. I got to show you a guy named George Wise. He has moved to Arkansas now, but he was a landscape architect and he did a beautiful picture. Basically, I mean, it's just beautiful. We hung it, we framed it, and I've always wanted to finish this, and so the cool part is just learning. Learning to plant is one thing. Learning to plant and protect from the stinking animals that eat your stuff in Michigan, that's another. So everything that I've planted so far, this one we got is called the serviceberry tree, a lot of those different ones, and I'm pretty pumped about what it's going to look like as it goes forward. But that's kind of what we did today. Little chill, but hopefully y'all had a good weekend. So with that said, tonight we're going to be talking about Nervines. What are Nervines? And by the end of tonight, my hope is that you'll have a decent understanding of where this herb can really kind of benefit you in many, many ways. It's a very calming herb classification, and Nervine by itself is a classification of herbs of what they do. So this one's called "What Are Nervines? The Ultimate Guide to Calming Herbal Remedies for Anxiety and Stress." So we'll get to learn a lot about that. But the first thing is, remember to subscribe to my newsletter area. Tribe1, trib1.substack.com would be a fantastic place for you to be. You'll get the transcript turned into a newsletter on this. My hope is that I'll get the flow of writing newsletters in there as well. There's a subscription side to that I'll be doing little nuggets here and there if it's of interest. So tribe1, trib1.substack.com, and then subscribe, do all the things. So thumbs up, like, heart, all those things up. The Prize Inside a Chiropractor's Journey on Rumble, the Prize Inside a Chiropractor's Journey on YouTube. That keeps growing. It's so exciting. I'm over 80. Yes, on Rumble. I'm pretty pumped. I'm very pumped. The one that's crazy though is YouTube. YouTube, I went from like one, I swear to God, like one subscriber. Now I'm like at 32. So I'm pretty pumped about that. That moved a lot quicker than I thought. But um the biggest thing for me is it has to be content worthy, right? Like I have to make sure that what I do is brings a value. Otherwise, it wouldn't be any fun. So for me, the Nervines is a great, great place to be. So let's get started. Let's talk about what these Nervines are. All right, here we go. Oops, let me get rid of that banner. Just don't forget Tribe1, trib1.substack.com. And then you could subscribe to the newsletter and not miss anything that I'm going to talk about at speed fast rate. No, I'm just kidding. It won't be that fast, but we'll keep going. All right. So Nervines, these are calming herbs for anxiety and stress. Could be a super big tool in your toolbox tonight. So what we're going to go over is the category of Nervines, what they actually mean. Where does it fit in our 1% lifestyle? And how these do. There's three different categories essentially of Nervines. And so we want to talk about all three. Two are pretty common in the category aspect. One you don't hear about often, but it's good to know all these. Now, before I get started on these in particular, these herbs in particular, I'm just going to put a blanket out. You'll want to definitely have somebody, a professional kind of, don't take anything without notifying any doctor, right? So make sure your doctor knows. I'm giving you the information. This is not to take any of these things, but make sure you talk to a professional as you go. There's some that are really easy on you, but I still just make that thing because there's two parts of that. One, your doctor will actually say, hey, this person's trying to actually improve their health. Like maybe I'll look this up and be their partner in that realm. So never be afraid of that. It's one of those things like it's like you're not telling your coach that you're going to go to practice, right? So most of the doctors that I've known, medical doctors to, chiropractors to everybody, they have their best interest in mind. They honestly do. I swear to you. They're not giving you all the meds and the sick care model just because that's what the framework is. That's what we're in. When you're in the framework, we have to do the best with what we can. So I'll give you a story before we start actually on this exact topic. I had one of my patients comes in and he's really excited about to start nutrition stuff. We do some nutritional blood work, which I'm pretty pumped at the office. I think I figured out a honey hole that I can work with a lot of people on. But anyway, so this is a nutritional blood work. He gets it done. He starts doing, the recommendations and he's feeling a lot better. The one thing that was happening is as he's doing this, he's getting more and more frustrated with his medical doctor, which was kind of an interesting caveat. So I was like, so why are you getting mad at your medical doctor? And he's like, well, I mean, she never told me any of this stuff. Da, da, da. I'm like, if every medical doctor had to tell you everything possible every time, it would be almost an impossibility. And he goes, yeah. And the hardest part was when I told her, hey, I'm feeling great. I'm taking all the supplements. She gave me a high five. I said, why didn't you tell me all this stuff? She's like, the amount of stuff this guy had was so overwhelming. I don't know how you'd start. Her job is to make sure that you're not sick all the time, right? So you're asking so much of that person. So sometimes bring it up. Now, if they have a bad reaction, be like, oh, like I literally had a doctor say, there's no such thing as vitamins. I was like, whoa. And they said chiropractors are okay. I'll never forget that. I was like, he told this patient, like, yeah, vitamins are not a thing. Not at all. Okay. Tell that to every study known to man. But anyway, it was just funny. And so if you got that kind of situation going, maybe, make it take a different realm, but you'd be really, really surprised at how cool it is to actually have a teammate, like not only just a chiropractor, that medical doctor as well. I have plenty of medical doctor people that are really, really into this as well. So, Nervines, let's get back onto it. Sorry about that. All right. So, just remember, we want to take these always with a caution. Okay. So, that's the biggest thing. So, what are Nervines? Nervines are herbs that support, nourish, calm, or gently stimulate the nervous system. That's what we got to find out tonight. They help with the occasional tension, circular thoughts, worry, muscle tightness, and sleep issues. So these are a lot of the go-tos for the relaxation type stuff. But they used to be used they are used currently in Western herbalism for emotional balance and nerve nourishment. Now, that is true, but there's a lot of really good things you can take for nervous system, right? The more you give your nervous system, just like in anything in chiropractic, it allows your innate intelligence of your body to have a better, more meaningful nervous system. So here's the 3 types. There's nerve tonics. Nerve tonics they nourish and strengthen the nervous system over time. These are really good for exhaustion, long-term type stress, so nerve tonics. A couple examples of this would be skullcap. St. John's wort is a big one. And remember, these are, though, because of the nervous system situation, you want to ask your doctor and compare that to your medicines, right? Nervine relaxants, which is one of my favorites because it doesn't have as many worrisome situations. But nervine relaxants is where it calms and soothes the nervous system. And so some you can get really mild to, very strong of these. My go-to all the time, pretty much on a regular basis, is chamomile. I think chamomile, you can give it from babies all the way up to, adults. And it works. It's really, really cool. Chamomile, another interesting thing. It has, we did it we had a little baby infant that came in with colic, and we were able to have mom try it. She was a chamomile fan anyway. So I said, hey, try like 1 drop on your finger and have the baby lick it. And it did some good things. It kind of gave that muscle relaxant, right? And so that was pretty cool. That was with me, the pediatrician, and the baby or the mom as well, obviously. But but that was a really cool result that I hadn't actually done in the past before. Okay. And so a couple of these in the nervine relaxants are chamomile and passion flower. Now, in the nervine stimulants, this isn't something that we don't see this a lot, as far as like the depressed going up. And I think we should kind of look at this area, but there's not a lot of herbs in this area, but it's called nervine stimulants. So they gently uplift and improve your cerebral circulation, which sounds like very good in theory. A lot of people go to the nervine tonics when they want this aspect of things, but it's very less common, but it's definitely worth noting that there is one called Herbamate probably. So it's YERBAMATE. Okay. So that one's a nervine stimulant. And so we're going to go over each one of these and show you what that is. So they overlap with adaptogens. Ooh, adaptogens. All right, students. What is an adaptogen? Does anyone remember? Put something in my chat if you know. Remember, I'm watching you all. You can put something in the chat and make it. Somebody just gave me a thumbs up, which was sweet. But the adaptogens are something kind of like a like a tonic. The idea of that your whole body, so like in nervines, the nervous system gets a boost just in general. So you have all these parts and pieces of the nervous system that makes the nervous system, right? You have the subconscious nervous system, the conscious nervous system, I guess you'd call it that. And then you have all these different actions and subsystems, right? And so a Nervine tonic would be able to give support to all of those. So an adaptogen is that, but it goes throughout the entire body. So it gives a little boost or pick me up or whatever you'd like to say, stimulates the entire body, right? And that's what's really cool about adaptogens like ashwagandha, astragalus. Big in the social media world right now is once they figured out, oh man, ashwagandha is really good for all the things, right? Nervines are very specific for, way more nervous system related. Okay. So just let you know that. All right. So let's talk about Nervine tonics first. So Nervine tonics, they're also called Nervine trophorestoratives. There you go. You just bring that to the Monday cooler. Did you know that Nervines are called trophorestoratives? That's fantastic. These are herbs that nourish, strengthen, and restore the nervous system over time. So, like adaptogens, that category is the same thing. It's herbs that nourish, strengthen, and restore the entire body systems over time. So that could be where you see this. Nervines are very specific for the nervous system. They act like nutrient-dense food for the nerves, which is kind of a cool way to explain it, helping to rebuild resilience, tone, and function after periods of chronic stress, exhaustion, burnout, or depletion. Unlike stronger relaxants that provide quick sedation, tonics work gradually with consistent use. So these are ones of over time, kind of, right? So these are ones. And if you remember the two we were talking about in the Nervine tonics, were St. John's wort and why is my brain and skullcap? Yeah, St. John's wort and skullcap. Those were the two in this category. So the main benefits of this is they deeply nourish and regenerate nervous tissue. That's huge. That's huge that the herb does this. Builds resilience to stress and improve emotional balance. Ease the nervous exhaustion, burnout, frazzled feelings, and mild anxiety. Support mental clarity, stable mood, and recover from overstimulation or illness. Promotes better overall vitality, focus, and sleep quality, indirectly by restoring nervous system health. The biggest one is like all of those are cool. And that's why it's that's why St. John's wort's been used for 100 years in helping with depression, anxiety, all those things. And skullcap actually is a very, very good one. But that's why those are, the go-tos in the herb place for like the long-term stress related things. But the biggest one is look what it does for the function of the human body. The main benefit. It deeply nourishes and regenerates nervous system tissue. That is something we all want and aspire to. So these, even if you didn't have anxiety, depression, all those things, St. John's wort could be potentially one of the best things you could add to your arsenal as far as like herbals and nutrition remedies. Okay. All right. So traditional and modern uses of Nervine tonics. So right now we're talking about St. John's wort and skullcap, and there's a few other ones, but we'll use those. The traditional use in Western herbalism and other systems, the herb addresses the nervous debility, exhaustion from overwork, grief, long-term worry, or recovery from illness. Those are good starting points. So you have a high stress week. St. John's wort's a really good one. They were viewed as restoratives that feed the nerves. So it's like food for your nerves. That's what Nervine tonics are. The modern use it's an integrative herbalism for high stress lifestyles, adrenal fatigue-like symptoms, post-illness recovery, nervous system maintenance, and support alongside therapy or adaptogens. They excel for long-term daily use rather than chronic acute situations. That's what Nervine tonics will do because they're like an adaptogen. Here's some other good examples of some Nervine tonics that we didn't talk about. one that's called Milky Oats. That's an herb, and it's a really, really good Nervine tonic for deep nourishment and rebuilding. These are ones after I love doing these podcasts because I'm gonna go try this one and look in my catalog for my Amish Chups brand that I have at the office and see if they have some Milky Oats. Skullcap, I know they have. Skullcap is restorative for tension, circular thoughts, and depleted nerves. Very, very good, especially in a chiropractic office, right? Because we have like a lot of need for nerve healing, and Skullcap can be your go-to. Some others that act like Nervine tonics are Go-To Cola, Bacopa, and St. John's wort, like we talked about before. Okay, so there is Nervine tonics. Oh, we got a couple others. Oh yeah, I forgot. I flipped this. So I did this like Friday night. Usually I do it like Saturday, but I forgot. So because the Nervines, I'm doing a class. We're not going to have as many recipes at the end. But we're going to go through how you prepare them, right? So most of the time you're going to take these Nervine tonics as a tea or a tincture, or typically, right? Teas are where I would lean towards because you want to take them more often. I think teas would be a really good way to do it. So, like you can do the Milky Oat, right? The Milky Oat one that they were talking about, or St. John's. You steep a large they're using Milky Oats in this one. So they steep a large handful, 1 to 2 hours, a quart of water for 4 to 8 hours. Overnight is best for a mineral-rich brew, and then drink 1 to 3 cups daily. So the longer you steep it, any kind of tea, the more phytochemicals that you're going to get out of that herb. So remember that. So the longer you do it, the more quality you're going to get. Now, the minimum is like 10 minutes, right? Some people don't even steep it for that long. I would suggest doing it for like what they're saying, 4 to 8 hours. Make a big tea thing of, let's say, St. John's wort or this Milky Oats. Okay, so those could be really good. They come in tincture form. Okay, so there's tincture form, and they're using Milky Oats for this. It's very highly effective. And the Skullcap one is usually taken as a tincture as well. But you'll find St. John's wort as a tea all the time. I don't know if I've seen as much Milky Oats, but I'm interested in trying that. You can do smoothies, porridges, right, with some Milky Oats. That would be an okay one. And different type of, and a lot of times this one we find in the office quite a bit is there's blends, right? So in Nervine tonics, there's quite a few different blends. Now that's why I lean on this Amish herbal place that I fell in love with. It's only like 45 minutes from our office. Got to meet them many times, and they make some really good tincture formulations. This is where your favorite one, let's say you do Mountain Rose Herbs, or you use Full Script. Oh, let me put that up there. Let's say go over here and get, so this little QR code in the corner, and look that up. And then go in there and then look up tinctures for, anxiety or, calming effect. Some people have made magnificent combinations of herbs. One is lemon balm and, skullcap, right? So there's quite a few different ones that lead to something like that. So just remember, there's lots of good blends like that. But most of the time, they're very gentle over long term, right? There's not a lot going on there. Just make sure, the biggest thing, because St. John wort has certain drug interactions, you have to call a professional. Okay. So if you're taking any kind of blood medicines, like any kind of those things, you want to make sure that you're consulting your MD if you have a bunch of, prescriptions that you're taking. So the rest of them are pretty chill. But I'd still for sure, when you start getting into Nervine tonics, you want to make sure you're, working with somebody, in the doctor world because they know your prescriptions and they want to help you, see if these herbs will actually be in a good spot for you. Okay. So now we're going to talk about nervine relaxants. So nervine relaxants are herbs that calm, soothe, and reduce the overactivity in the nervous system. So this is chill ones. Okay. So think Jamaica and marijuana. Okay. So we're going to think that way. These are the ones relax. Caffeine. That's another good one, right? I'm sorry. That's not right. Caffeine's that's not a chill one. But marijuana would be in this category for some people. That's not true. So they promote relaxation for easing tension, worry, and hyperactivity, often with mild to moderate sedative or as antispasmodic effects. So you literally get some muscle relaxant effects on these. They provide quicker relief than tonics and range from gentle daily to stronger ones for acute stress and sleep support. So this is a pretty good category of this nervine. The main benefits of using a nervine relaxant is it reduces stress, anxiety, and racing thoughts in a more intense way. Promotes relaxation, calms the mind, eases muscle tightness and restlessness, supports better sleep quality, and health with occasional insomnia. Relieve symptoms worsened by stress, such as headaches, digestive upset, or irritability, and provides some antispasmodic, which is like a muscle relaxer, and mild analgesic effects for discomforts in nervous system related. So think like sciatic nerve could be a possibility, things like that. In Western use tradition, these herbs were used for anxiety, insomnia, hysteria, restlessness, stress-related complaints. They are valued for the calming and overactive mind and body without heavy narcotic effects. We use them very popular now for everyday stress, improving sleep, managing tension in high pressure lifestyles, acutely some headaches, very, very good with adaptogens. Okay. So those are some pieces to it. So these are some of my favorites. Some of them are really, really nice on you. Even though the nerve tonics I really like as well. That's why sometimes the blends are really good. Chamomile, probably my number one to go to in the nervine relaxant stage. It's very gentle. It's a daily calmer for stress, digestion, and mild sleep issues. Lemon balm. We've used this on some kids with rough sleep patterns, especially my older rough sleep patterns, where you need something, that gets the kids like brain to kind of slow down a little bit more in your kids that are, I wouldn't say autistic. I would say like Asperger type, high energy kids, those kind of things. This one is weird because lemon balm works as like an uplifting relaxant. And it helps with nervous system exhaustion and restlessness. The one kid that we tried this on really, really liked it to the point of asking mom for it, which is really cool. And it tastes a little lemony, so it's nice. Passion flower. Passion flower is one of my favorite go-tos in the heat of the moment. Excellent for worry, circular thoughts, and sleep. I really, really like it as a tea, especially if somebody's going through a high stress situation. Valerian root is the one a lot of people think of for sleep. It's stronger. It does knock you out. So it's a very strong sedative for insomnia or high nervous energy. Biggest problem with valerian root is not much. It'll put you out. It'll make you go to sleep, but it doesn't keep you asleep. You'd want to lean on like chamomile a little bit more if you need sleep all night long. But valerian root is been a go-to for a really long time. Some other nervine relaxants that you can try. So many good ones. And this is where this category shines. But lavender, hops, California poppy, linden, catnip, especially gentle. Catnip is actually really gentle for children and old and elderly as well. Most of the time, you're going to take them as teas, right? So most of the time, we're going to steep, in 5 to 10 minutes, right? Because of the long term of Nervine tonics, sometimes you're going to do that for a longer period of time. These 10 to 15 minutes, and you got yourself a nice tea. You try to do 1 to 3 cups daily. It's a lot of tea. That's why sometimes the tinctures are the way to go. And tinctures are probably another major way that people take them. The tinctures, if you're not familiar, are they're usually the herb kind of condensed and intensified within an alcohol solution, typically. And then it allows you to just take drops under your tongue, essentially, or like in a drink, or, those kind of things. So it's really, really good way to take it. Biggest thing on a lot of these is therapeutic dose. So a lot of people don't understand. People are like, well, it doesn't work for me. Well, most people aren't taking it 2 to 3 times a day like they recommend. So you're supposed to take 20 to 30 milliliters 2 to 3 times a day to get the actual real effect. A lot of these we grab because we can't sleep that night, right? And that's one of the problems. My herbals will never be chemically mastery like a pharmaceutical drug will, based on just the amount of money they've done in the mastery of, if I take this, it's instantaneous. Okay. These are things you have to set in motion before, right? So we got to make sure we're getting enough dosage in us to really, really give it a good college try, right? We want to make sure we're trying as hard as we can to get the best result we can. The biggest thing is just not giving up the ghost if we don't take enough, right? And so that's one of the major issues with like Nervine relaxants that I hear. A patient will try it and go, no, it didn't work. And I'm like, yeah. So you gotta try it. Like, so I want you to take it 3 times a day. Biggest one that my staff laughed about was turmeric. Once I understood this through my registered herbalist stuff, the amount of shock and awe in my patient's face when I'm telling them they got to take the one we have at the office has like turmeric, ginger, bromelain, and a little white willow bark. And so I'll make somebody take 8 capsules a day, and they like look at me stunned. I'm like, you're going to do this 3 days in a row, right? So the biggest thing is you have to get that therapeutic dose up to get the actual effect. That's one of the major, major problems with like looking at all herbal things in general. So just make sure if you think that like chamomile is going to be a thing, you want to take it 2 to 3 times a day. Okay. So just remember that as we go. That goes a little bit for kids, less dosage, but you want to give it a try. But this is a setup. This is not, you're not just going in there or, without a good plan. Okay. This one's kind of cool in the Nervine relaxants that I really, really like. There's other forms to take things. What's one of the biggest organs in the human body? What is the biggest organ in the human body? And it actually absorbs a ton of stuff. Your skin, right? So lavender or chamomile as a bath is fantastic, actually. It's really, really good. And you get some of the medicinal value, into the skin because your body absorbs things. Okay. So that's a key component to what you can do, especially if you enjoy baths or, those kind of things. It's a really good way to do a lot of things, especially if you know somebody in the elder as well. Very nice on the system as well. So aromatherapy, I wish I knew more. I should dive into that. Or, that's what I'll do is I'll get a podcast guest that's really good at the aromatherapy stuff. But essential oils that you inhale are fantastic. And there's some essential oils, I guess, you can actually ingest, which are great. a lot of them still have a lot of good blends that go together that help with a lot of combinations of different uses. So look for different like when you're looking at tinctures, we're looking at teas, look at ones with different mixes for different things because they have really that company's really stepped up their game to get that effect, right? So that's the biggest thing. So usage tip, mild relaxants for daytime, the stronger ones like valerian hops. So like chamomile for daytime if you need daytime chill. So like I always say passion flower, chamomile. Daytime chill, you need that part. You kind of wound up throughout your day. That's the one you'd go to. Stronger ones for night, for sleep, all those would be like a valerian or a hops, right? So hops is a really good Nervine relaxant for sleep. Start with the lower doses first, of course, but then make sure you're going up. Don't give up the situation until you've tried. Okay, so they're very safe. Valerian has actually got a little caution. I just want to make sure I'm getting all the cautions. So valerian it can cause some vivid dreams in some people. So you don't want to take valerian in long-term high doses. Now, if you've been here on our herb night, a lot of times I'll tell people never do anything with a run. So like we want to do valerian for a month, take a week off, just so your body doesn't have that kind of like a little crutch there. We're not trying to create a crutch. It's like melatonin, right? We don't want to create the touch, even though valerian isn't, it's not as serious, but if, it doesn't take over a body system, it's just a good idea to make sure you stay homeostatic, the up and downs and, those kind of things. Kava is one of my most interesting ones. It is a Nervine relaxant that we forgot to mention up top. Kava is getting used in some bars out west. It's kind of really, really cool. There's a little bit, I suppose, there's some liver with certain types of preparation. So watch that. Consider it with your doctor, of course. And of course, pregnancy and breastfeeding is always talk to your doctor first. Chamomile and lemon balm are really easy on you. So those are the ones that your doctor will probably say, absolutely, it's fine. But kava is kind of a funny story. So kava, when our last time we went out to this, our herbal retreat, out west near Colorado, they had what they call a kava bar. So instead of alcohol, they had kava in different kind of like fruity drinks, right? And the lady said it was fantastic. Everybody was smiling, a good time. A lot of these Nervine relaxants will put you in a really good mood. And so a lot of times they're such a better go-to than the harsh. Think about what you're replacing, right? So like in our lives, like wine, liquor, gin, tonic, I mean, it's part of our culture, right? This stuff literally helps your system. It's not a poison to your system, right? And alcohol's kind of got that. They got the market share, the market share of relaxation, chilling with your friends, whatever, right? Maybe try some chamomile instead. Maybe that night you go out for drinks, you actually grab some passion flower tea. See how you feel. Kava would be the one for that. I think we need a lot of those kind of things because of how strong our friends with buddies and, the alcoholic, have a drink with some friends is in society. It's a pretty big deal. So just remember that. That's one reason I love this topic. Okay. So we're going to go on to the next one. All right. So we got some potential drowsiness, of course. I would like this sentence. So I copied this because it was good. Nervine relaxants are wonderful allies for immediate nervous system soothing and pair beautifully with tonics for quick relief and long-term support. Perfect. It's perfect for this. So that is all there is there. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the last one, Nervine stimulants. Okay. So this one is the more rare of all of them, but it's pretty interesting. I want us to know all these. So right now you've gone through, you know what a Nervine tonic is. It's kind of a whole body nervous system feeling good, kind of like an adaptogen, right? One of those that you want to think, okay, more long term. I could take this every day. If I'm having a long-term stress situation, I'm going to ask my doctor, is this okay? And then I'm going to be able to take it on a regular basis. Nervine relaxants, you're going to take a little more intense, like they'll do it in runs. They're for short periods of time, sometimes, those kind of situations. But a lot of options for Nervine relaxants. Okay. So now we'll talk about Nervine stimulants. So Nervine stimulants are herbs that gently increase activity in the nervous system. So these increase the activity. If you're, let's think the word chronic fatigue. Let's say you're a chronic fatigue person. These herbs promote alertness, wakefulness, and responsiveness. They provide a mild, uplifting, invigorating effect, often improving mental clarity and energy without the harsh crash associated with stronger stimulants. Now, for all of us that say that we might not, this is not very used very often, we sure look for stimulants all the time. So that's why it's kind of crazy that herbs haven't taken over that main frame of that. This is more coffee and fake sugar and everything else, right? So many contain caffeine or act as cerebral stimulants that enhance blood flow to the brain. Okay. So caffeine, in essence, we know if it didn't have all this other garbage that was around all the caffeine of our world, that it is actually a really good nervine stimulant herb that's actually good for you, right? But it's the other stuff we put around it that creates the problem. Okay. There are at least commonly emphasized category. This is the least commonly out of all the different herbs. Okay. And they serve, but they can be huge allies for what we actually go to the gas station for. Think of 4-Hour Energy, energy drinks. Everything's based on energy. Why don't we start converting this need for energy into herbal remedies, right? So taking your herb, much, much better for you. So the main benefits of Nervine stimulants are increased mental alertness, focus, and concentration. It can combat mental or physical sluggishness and low energy. It supports cognitive function, memory, and responsiveness. And it provides gentle mood uplift and motivation. And here's one that is physiologically a really good thing. It improves cerebral circulation. So that's awesome, especially if they don't have caffeine as one of the active ingredients, which we're going to talk about how those work in just a second. So traditional and modern uses, they're used to counteract lethargy. They obviously invigorate the system during low vitality, like tea with caffeine in it, coffee with caffeine in it. Very simple. Okay. Sometimes you just need that kind of stuff for wakefulness and all those kind of things. They are really good. Like if you're taking, let's say your coffee in the morning, you have a caffeine, then sometimes a good Nervine tonic, like a St. John's wort, a skull cap, those kind of things, could be a good idea in the morning, especially if you kind of lean heavy on the old caffeine thing, right? So because if you want one of those Nervine tonics, it kind of overall protects the human body, right? The body's nervous system throughout, as you go. So why not take something? If you know you're having too much caffeine, I do this myself. I do black coffee, but sometimes I'll notice I drink a lot of black coffee. It's just so comforting sometimes. And you're just, you're going through patients each day and you kind of keep this certain energy up. But now I'm going to add either St. John's wort as a tea, or I'm going to do like skull cap in the morning and then see how the flow of my nervous system actually hopefully improves. So here's some great Nervine stimulants, which is crazy. Rosemary. This one is a cerebral stimulant for memory and clarity. Go to cola. This supports brain circulation and mild stimulation. This one's getting more popular. I should probably do a whole thing on go to cola. Green and black tea, always a really good. This one, a lot of people are very familiar with, right? Because of its mild caffeine based alertness. Some other ones that are really good is rhodiola, tulsi or holy basil, yerba mate, like we talked about, guarana, something like that, coffee, cacao, right? Not cocoa, but cacao, CACAO, and ginkgo biloba. Okay. So there's a few in here that you would have thought, all right, they fit into those categories. Very, very good stuff. So most of the time, teas and infusions, or teas typically, are probably the most accessible, easy to do, because this is one way you could actually, slow down your roll on coffee in the morning. You could try like another Nervine stimulant, like rosemary, gotu kola, but you do the tea in, you steep it for 5 to 10 minutes like normal, 10 to 15 minutes. I apologize. Tinctures, same thing. Rosemary or gotu kola work well as tinctures. Other forms are aromatherapy, right? Rosemary is really good in inhalation. Culinary use, rosemary in meals. That, my friends, was delicious. Rosemary in meals could change your game. So makes meat taste phenomenal. In fact, I should tell you guys that since it's getting I smoked my first brisket it was so exciting. So we tried. A few months ago, we got a nice smoker. I've never been really good on the grill. A few friends who will see this know I'm getting better as we go. Grill, I really enjoy it, but it's one of those. I'll stop real quick in the middle of this, but it's really fun. But I could be better, right? So I got myself a smoker. Well, so we're out there, and the other day I'm studying it, and we did a pork butt, right? So we did a pork butt for like pulled pork and all those kind of things. Turned out really good. So I'm not a huge pork all the time person. It's just the way it is. I like beef, if we're going to do it. And I got this thing for a few things: fish for sure, ribs, and beef, right? And this brisket. So we tried it. It turned out pretty good, I have to say. I'm learning. A lot of love goes into making this kind of stuff. So when you have somebody that's into the barbecue, just appreciate them, because they're working to make something really, really good, which is really cool. So that was really fun this weekend. We had a good time, and it turned out, which is fantastic. So anyway, so rosemary, now that I'm saying that, I'm going to be putting rosemary on, my next brisket. That's like a little secret one, because it does taste fantastic on there and just bangs the flavor of it. So aromatherapy is a good way. Culinary uses, sometimes lemon, right? Lemon balm you can use, mint. So you can do quite a few different things with that. Biggest thing on this one, of course, talk to your doctor before you do it, blah, blah, blah. But make sure you don't do it at night if you want to go to bed. It might actually, Nervine stimulants might actually put you over, even ginkgo. So even ginkgo biloba, where you think, oh, that's not anything, and all of a sudden it might keep you wide awake. So just remember, you don't want to throw off your sleep cycle with anything like that. Okay. But most of the time you're going to get a lot of this stuff in coffee or like caffeine type drinks. My thing is I cannot have caffeine after noon. I've figured that out. If I stick to that plan, my sleep schedule is really, really good. Yeah, if you're not, nervine stimulants aren't exactly the greatest if you have, anxiety, high blood pressure, overstimulation already. I'd probably go the other way. That's pretty obvious. Gotu Cola is it's so if you guys are looking it up as well, it's GOTU Cola, KOLA. It's really safe. It's generally safe, but except for pregnancies and medications. So remember that one. Rosemary, food herb, so it's really good. Got to be careful of really high doses of rosemary, but other with if it might start menstruation, so you got to be careful there. That's about all you need to know about there. But nervine stimulants are best used mindfully and in moderation, often alongside nerve tonics and relaxants for comprehensive nervous system support. They add a nice contrast. It just adds a nice contrast to your overall life. So you want to make sure you're doing that. Okay, so what are we going to do for tonight? Get some tea. Try some of the, I would start with the Nervine tonics. Biggest thing is like in the description, or reach out to me sometime. Become part of the tribe1.substack.com. I know I can get messages and stuff on there. You can message me on Facebook, Twitter, whatever you like. But find a Nervine that works for you. Try some of these different ones. Like what if it's, I hear it a lot. We have trouble with pain. We have trouble with sleeping. So anxiety is a big thing, right? This topic for me is super important because there's not a lot that help with nerve healing as much as I would like it to, right? So there's not supplements out there, there's not like, hey, take this, vitamin, and all of a sudden your nervous system all your nerves will get healed up. But if you look, the Nervine tonics, look up just Nervine tonics and see that they actually restore and replenish the nervous system tissue, right? That's a big deal. And that can be really, really effective for us. These things have been standing the test of time for decades. Like before all these crazy medicines that you don't know, this is a good way to go, right? And understanding the difference between a Nervine tonic, a Nervine relaxant, and a Nervine stimulant could help you in, just having this nice flow, right? I always think of this because I don't know what happened in like chiropractic or like, I love what I do so much that one of the things that's happened that I never thought would happen in chiropractic is I got so close to some people on getting off of pain meds, getting off of drinking. So I never thought I would be, the go-to for that. But it's happened in my 26 years. I see it all the time. Now, I'm not, get a counselor or get all those things, right? But the neatest thing is now one of the reasons I went into become this herbalist situation was the moment that my friend started using something different. So he would use chamomile as a muscle relaxer and this stuff called oh no. Oh crap. He's using the California poppy. So he's using the California poppy as if he needed like a pain med. For a long time, he was on major opioid type situations every day. I mean, it was to a point that they weren't doing anything for him, and sometimes they could actually cause the problem. So it happens with patients all the time that we give them the freedom of number one, chiropractic. All of a sudden their spine's working correctly like it should. The nervous system starts rebalancing. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, maybe I don't need all the opioid drug of choice, right? But I've been on it 7 years. Okay. So then I'm like, how are we going to do this? So, as we go, I'd have some guys like, I don't know. Well, and I'd give them these different herbal options. I was like, study them, see what happens, just have them near you. And one of the coolest parts was the chamomile, especially, and it wasn't California poppy. Dang it. I'm sorry. I cannot remember it. Oh, it's another one that's really good at pain reliever. Let's say it's white willow bark. Okay. So white willow bark is kind of like aspirin in the natural form, but it's a very nice herb, blah, blah, blah. So white willow bark, he could take anytime he needed it. So the moment his nervous system, his reflex of, hey, I have pain, I should take this opioid, he ended up taking the white willow bark. And he started noticing he went from like 7 pills a day down to 1, down to none, right? Which was kind of cool because, I get to see the outside. Like I get to see, I didn't even know he was trying to like stop taking these. And he's like, I can't believe how good this stuff is, and so what's neat about that though is it gives it back, right? And so as these nervines can be a really good important piece of herbal knowledge that can set your path on a right journey. Who doesn't need, who isn't anxious, long-term stress, have nervous system problems, right? And so if we understand how these herbs work with me, work with your doc, but see that there are options out there. It doesn't have to be always a prescription, right? So, all right. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This one was pretty good. I like it a lot. This subject as well. So, and usually I do one specific herb, but sometimes I'll throw these ones in that are the big classification so that you guys got that knowledge as well. So with that said, don't forget tribe1@substack.com. If you're like watching this on Rumble, push the like button so that we get some of that. Hopefully I get up to like 100 and Rumble. Keep rolling on YouTube. Remember, the Prize Inside a Chiropractor Journey on Rumble, the Prize Inside a Chiropractor Journey on YouTube. You guys have a fantastic, keep working hard. 1%, go get some tea. See how it goes. Ta-ta.